All right. Welcome everyone to our TMN Tuesday for the month of April. Today's presentation is unique in our lineup of TMN Tuesday webinars as our April celebration, our April webinar overlaps our virtual volunteer, our National Volunteer Month. And so we use April's TMN Tuesday webinar as a chance to continue our virtual volunteer fair. This is a program that we started during the age of service at a distance or as an individual or done virtually during the pandemic. But something that we've continued as we've gotten great feedback from our volunteers on wanting to continue to have virtual and distance-based volunteer service during the hotter months of April, hotter months of the summer here in Texas. So we're excited to have our 7th iteration of the virtual volunteer fair here in just a little bit. In the meantime, as we get started, Hannah, if you want to tell us what's so important about April? What's going on in April?
Well, I'm sure many of you have seen, but April is National Volunteer Month, and we also will have National Volunteer Week starting April 20th. So keep an eye out on all the socials because we are celebrating you all throughout the entire month. So each chapter will have a little panel on a social post featuring their chapter. We're also doing individual story features of some master naturalists across the state, so keep an eye out for those, among a lot of other fun things. And your chapters also have some National Volunteer Month resources that they're sharing over on their socials. So it's just a fun, good time celebrating you and all of the hard work that you do, both for us at the Texas Master Naturalist Program and for all the other organizations that you might be volunteering for. So just a quick thank you from us here at the state level, and keep an eye out from socials to see all of the fun that's happening.
All right, as we get started into our virtual volunteer fair and all the fun new opportunities to volunteer with some of these great programs and partners that we have online today, just a little bit of meeting room etiquette as we do on all of our TMN Tuesday events and all of our webinars. If you as a participant, your video and your ability to unmute yourself has been turned off intentionally so that we can stay focused on the content that our presenters are sharing with us today. Our panelists will keep their videos off in between as we have 6 different panelists coming in and out. So it's when it's their turn, they're going to unmute and share their video as well so that they can tell us a little bit about their project. Um, if you are at a panelist and you're staying on a line, you can check out the chat room and answer questions in the chat. Otherwise, what we're going to be doing in our chat room is answering questions during the time slot for those presentations. So today's agenda will be kept on time by our beautiful and wonderful MC, Judith Green, who's going to moderate each of the sessions during those 15-minute time slots. And so during that time slot, we'll be answering questions in the chat. Michelle, Hannah, and I will be helping to type those answers or speak those questions out verbally to our speakers. Otherwise, once we've passed that 15-minute time slot, those chat questions will have to be answered in the chat. To help Michelle and Hannah and I in the chat room, if you as a Master Naturalist have a question, please type your questions as legibly as possible. Avoid using acronyms, use your best spelling and grammar as possible so that we can ask the question as you intend for it to be asked. And please select chat to everyone so that everyone can participate in those questions and the answers to those questions because they probably had the same thoughts or same questions as you did. Again, as we're moving fast through today's agenda, let's try to keep those questions within those 15 minutes for that project focus. If there's follow-up questions, we can do that afterwards or through an email to those project hosts. And then our chat is being recorded and will be posted as there's always a lot of content that gets asked and answered in the chat for those specific projects. As you may also notice, the event today is being recorded. So we'll run this recording all the way from 11 a.m. our start time through our 1:15 p.m. 1:30 stop time this afternoon. And so you may come and go as you want to and catch those pieces and parts that you may miss as a recording later. So that answers that last tab there, that pop-ins are welcome throughout the event today, as you may want to hear about some of the projects at the beginning, the middle, or the end of today's presentation, or you may want to stay on the whole time. So Michelle, will you tell us a little bit about what our projects and our presenters will be sharing today?
So each of our presenters during each of the projects that are being presented will share with you a good overview of the project, describing the project pretty in detail. Our master naturalists always have lots of questions, so they will provide as much detail as possible about the project during the presentation. They'll talk to you about expectations and outcomes, not only volunteer expectations, but expectations of the project and final outcomes that they can foresee to kind of give a vision of what the project will look like. Some logistics about each of the projects, specific things like times, date, time of day that a person might need to be available. Any experience or equipment you might need to bring with you to participate on the project. And then, of course, any advanced training that may be needed in advance of participating on the project. And in most cases, all of the advanced training is provided through another session once you've been selected as volunteer for the opportunity. Our presenters are also going to talk about the benefits of participating in each of these projects. So what do you get out of it as a volunteer? What does your community get out of it? What are the impacts you'll be making by participating in any given project that's presented here today? And then the other details about the projects is location and contact information. So where to go, where it's actually going to be held or can be held, where the work can be done, and then who to contact about the specific project if you have additional questions.
And all of that information will also be shared on our website. So where you can get all of that information for each of those projects, and our project catalog is also going to be on our Naturalist News under our Virtual Volunteer Fair blog post. So going to our website, and Hannah is going to be dropping that link in the chat throughout the day today. But it's easy enough to find by clicking on Naturalist News on the front of our page, and then finding that Virtual Volunteer Fair diamond, and clicking on that page to find the catalog of information of all the projects, project contact information, all the details that Michelle just outlined as well today.
Just
All right.
a quick note about finding all of that information. If you forget to go to Naturalist News, since this is our April TMN Tuesday, that is also on the TMN Tuesday page, and it'll take you to that blog post directly.
I got it
So you can also
cross-posted.
tell people that they can get there from the TMN Tuesday page if they go there by habit.
Perfect. We're just going to put it everywhere, all over the place. All right, and then last but not least, Michelle, as we get into today, I am a volunteer. I'm here, I'm listening to these great projects, and I want to sign up. How do I add my name to the list to volunteer?
So we're going to have 6 projects presented today. And I know there will be interest from all of our volunteers for the various projects that are going to happen in your local area. And so to provide your interest in participating in the project, we have a SurveyMonkey survey that it will be available. We'll continuously share the SurveyMonkey link, but once you find the project that you're interested in, you'll add your name to the list to volunteer through that SurveyMonkey. You'll have until the end of the month, Wednesday, April 30th, to add your name to that SurveyMonkey. And then after that, we'll be taking the SurveyMonkey survey down and providing the list to each of the project coordinators. And then it will be their responsibility to sift through the names on that list and reach out to you as volunteers for the next steps on participating in their projects. Note that there in any of our virtual volunteer fairs and the projects presented, there are always more volunteers interested than there may be spots available for. So keep that in mind. Another note to keep in mind is not all projects are available for all chapters or ecoregions, and we'll give some information about each of the projects and the specific ecoregions and skilled volunteers needed to support those. And keep in mind that This virtual volunteer fair isn't a carte blanche approval at the state level for all the projects. Your projects still need to be reviewed and approved at your local chapter level 2 before reporting.
All right, and then Michelle, you want to round out how, as a master naturalist, they can log their hours for today and then log their hours for the projects once they do sign up for those.
So today is part of our today is part of our TMN Tuesdays. This is actually our virtual volunteer fair. Today, everything that, if you stay online for the entire thing today, our virtual volunteer fair, you could report up to 2.25 hours, 2.25 hours of advanced training time for today. For when you do report that, you would report in your LBE, report it as advanced training, and then in your logbook entry for the detail there, mention that it's the April TMN Tuesday, the TMN Virtual Volunteer Fair. If you have additional questions about the virtual volunteer fair and how to report that, we do have the guide for logging service hours related to this event. And I think Hannah's already dropped that in the chat. But also keep in mind that there may be topics that you pop in and out for today. So if you do come in and out, only record the total time that you viewed. So that it could be less than 2.25 hours. And then the second question that comes up is separate from the advanced training for today, how would you log your hours for service projects when and if you participate on any of the projects that are previewed today? And so you would, first of all, have the projects reviewed and approved at your local chapter level. And then there really is a longer guide that talks about reporting accordingly for virtual volunteer fair events. And we have that dropped in the chat also. Keep in mind that some of these projects are going to be classified as citizen science projects. And with those, there are additional guidelines for recording volunteer service related to citizen science. And we have another guide for that that is been dropped in the chat already. But keep in mind that there are different nuances for reporting service on citizen science projects.
All right, and yes, I'm so sorry that link on that page is outdated, so I'll get Hannah to fix that link for the citizen science guide and drop the updated link in the chat. My apologies, Hannah, I gave you the wrong link. Okay, we've got 1 minute on our final slide for our opening remarks and our introduction. And Judith, I'm going to pass it to you to keep us on time as we roll into our agenda today.
Sounds great, guys. You're always on time as usual. That's wonderful. And so good morning, everybody. Glad y'all could join us. Again, I'm Judith Green. And I just wanted to let the speakers that are online right now know that I will try to come in about 2 or 3 minutes before your 15-minute time frame ends. And I'll try to interject a quick 2 minutes or 3 minutes, depending on how much time you have. So that way, in case you're taking the full 15 minutes to talk, that you kind of know that you have just a few seconds or a few minutes to kind of finish it up. And many of the speakers, of course, will have opportunity probably to still get some Q&As in, because in the past, most of our speakers have not taken the full 15-minute time frame. So hopefully we can continue to do that as well, but no worries. If not, as already been indicated, we can definitely answer questions in the chat. So our first speaker, good morning, is going to be Ashley Bales. She's with the Botanical Research Institute of Texas, and her talk is a popular one that she's presented before, Armchair Botanist, and it's helping map the plants of Texas. So Ashley, good morning. If you want to go ahead and upload, share your screen, and we'll get you started. Looks like it's thinking on my end.
Good morning. Can y'all hear me okay?
I can. It's a little, I do have my volume turned up pretty high, so you're a little bit on the low side. I don't know if.
Okay, I will try.
Oh, I can hear you. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you for the introduction, Judith. Yes, my name's Ashley Bales. I am the Herbarium Collections Manager at the Botanical Research Institute of Texas at the Fort Worth Botanic Garden. And the Armchair Botanist program has been going on since 2020 so you've probably heard us present on this project before, but there have been many stages to this project. So this is different from some of our previous stages in the past. Let me go to my next slide if it'll let me. Here we go. So for our project of digitizing all of our herbarium specimens from Texas and Oklahoma, it was part of a National Science Foundation grant we received. There's 3 stages to this digitization process. So the first stage was curating the specimens themselves and imaging them. The second stage, which y'all might be familiar with or have participated with us before, was the transcription phase, where we took the specimen label data and transcribed it into the appropriate fields, whether it was directly into our online portal or in the platform called Notes from Nature. And now we're finally in the last stage of digitization, georeferencing. So using that transcribed locality data and assigning a latitude and longitude in some degree of uncertainty. This way, these specimens are not only discoverable by researchers and the public for their label data, but they're also visible now on a map. So like I said, we got this grant and we're alongside 46 other herbaria in Texas and Oklahoma and a few other states to, in total, digitize over 2 million specimens from Texas and Oklahoma. So for a few years, starting in 2020, we had volunteers help us to transcribe 63,000 Texas specimens from our collection. And now we're on this last phase of georeferencing, which will be in total georeferencing about 1 million Texas specimens, not all from our institution. So each of these specimens represents this species in space and time. So the goal is to have something like this, where I could look at this species, Lescarella gracilis, and I can look at a map across our state and see what the distribution of this species looks like. And this, along with other layers of maps that researchers can use, such as soil maps, habitat maps, it's a way for us to either go and return to where these specimens were collected, see if these still exist, if these populations still exist in these spaces, or is there a parking lot there now? And where are other suitable habitats that this species could be growing, but may not have been vouchered or seen observed on iNaturalist. One of the other goals is obviously, getting county floras. So far with this project, we have georeferenced 131 counties so far. So you can see the map right here. I didn't include a key, my bad. But the dark green are the counties that are complete. The light green are up next, and the dark blue are counties that we're currently georeferencing, either our staff or volunteers. The chapters that you see in that list, if your chapter is on this list, that means we have georeferenced all specimens for the counties that your chapter encompasses. So this is data that your chapters can now use for any type of flora-based projects. If you want that data, come to us, we'll share it with you. If your chapter is not on this list, this project is even more so for you. Master naturalists have boots on the ground knowledge. You have a history of history of these counties that we personally may not, and it could help you to help us georeference these specimens even better. So this is an example, one of our volunteers, Vicki Sinwell, georeferenced all of Williamson County. And so this is an example of what that looks like now on a map. So what does this project look like? Our volunteers spend a few hours a week on the project. Anyone is invited. Training will be available. Right now, number of volunteers, I say around 30, it could be more. This project, the georeferencing portion of this project started in 2023. Our funding from National Science Foundation ends this year, so even more so, we're going to be relying on volunteers in the future years to finish this project. It's mostly virtual, but if you live in the Fort Worth area and want to come on site, you're welcome to. We'll basically give you some background reading. You'll have some in-person training or virtual training, and then there is a test set to get you familiar with the georeferencing software. So access to a computer is required, of course, and you may want a second screen. It can be useful. Experience or at least interest in history and searching of historical places. Some of those databases online. Find a Grave has been used before. You feel comfortable navigating web pages and learning a new software. And then we'll always have ongoing support and communication with our volunteers. So it'll be that self-study, the training, more self-study, taking the test, one-on-one discussion about the test, and then you're ready to get started. So what are the benefits? You'll be able to improve your knowledge and our knowledge of floristic exploration in your area by pulling together these historical, cultural, and scientific information that you find while georeferencing, learning about geodata and practicing mapping techniques, learning about the history of an area to improve your understanding of what flora may have looked like in the past in a certain county versus what does it look like now? Are there new species that don't show up as being vouchered, or are there new introduced species in that county now? Just understanding of botanical and herbarium processes, being exposed to more online and other resources that can expand your botanical knowledge. And then we're putting our specimens under your hand lens, which I think, I mentioned earlier, the chapters that have all of the counties georeferenced. I mean, this can now be used for other projects in the future to find gaps in what is missing from our herbarium, what needs to be vouchered or observed on iNaturalist, what's new to the county, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you already to the work that the Master Naturalists have done already on this project. If you're not so much interested in the mapping portion of the project, which is currently our most important stage, but if that's not your jam, but you miss the transcription portion, we do still have new specimens coming into the herbarium every week from our collectors and other gifts and exchanges from other herbaria that need to be transcribed. So if that's also something you're interested in, we do still have some specimens that need that transcription phase, but the mapping is kind of that bigger part right now. Are there any questions? My portion's done. I haven't looked at the chat yet.
Ashley, wonderful. As always, you're so thorough with the information.
I'm good. I'm
for our
glad. Okay.
volunteers. And always exactly on time to give us some few minutes to answer
Perfect.
questions before we roll to the next project at 11:30. So here's a few questions as they're starting to roll into the chat
Okay.
here. Does a Mac platform work for volunteering for this project?
Absolutely. So the software that's used for georeferencing is a browser-based software. So any type of computer can be used.
Excellent. And explain the two screens for me again. So what's the best, why do you need to, or why do you suggest having two screens?
I suggest having two screens because, sometimes, every locality is case by case basis, but you may want to go, to an external site like Portal to Texas History or another old map site. And so having two screens allows you to do some Google searches or other searching for historical places alongside like seeing that map. You can just use one screen, but from what volunteers have told me, definitely having a second screen can help, but it's not necessary.
Excellent. All right. Here's someone who works in mapping. Megan
that's
adds
great.
in that having two screens is a huge help.
Totally. If our chapter is already mapped, can we still participate in the mapping project? Absolutely. If you're still interested, just know that you may be georeferencing a county that either you don't live in or you may not be as familiar with, but you will become very acquainted with that county and learn to love that county. After a while, you'll know everything about, you'll become the expert of that county after georeferencing it. And then I think maybe a few more came in that I didn't get to see.
Yep, here's another question that came in from Tina. She asks, do you know if many of the species are on private property, historical properties?
It's a mix of both. What we have found is that botanists back in the day, because there's so much private land, collected along highways and roadsides. So you'll see a lot of that. There are private properties, and we've had to hunt down old plot maps and all sorts of things to kind of figure out where those are. And sometimes you may have a locality that you just cannot find. It's definitely possible that some of these localities, we don't have enough knowledge right now to georeference them. So it's possible that we cannot georeference some of these specimens.
Great. Here's another question from Catherine. She asks, can we choose the county? She's interested in Angelina County, which is not currently represented by a Master Naturalist chapter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And those counties that don't have a designated chapter, I mean, absolutely. Any county, like I would say if you're interested in a specific county, then we would give you priority to georeference it if it's not already done.
And for our Master Naturalist credit, I would make sure that you are checking with your chapter administrator before you select a county that is outside of your area for this project. If you are wanting to count these this mapping as a credit for your volunteer service, you'll need to select a county that's within your ecoregion or your chapter's ecosystem. So that you're applying that knowledge in a Learn Here, Give Here model that meets the Master Naturalist volunteer service requirements. But again, please check with your local chapter as you're working on those counties selections with Ashley.
And I think there was a question about, do you need to be a Master Naturalist to work on this project? And you do not. We do have volunteers that are only volunteers through the Fort Worth Botanic Garden that also help us out with this project. So yes.
Perfect. There's some great comments in here for some suggestions and some requests for specific chapters or specific counties as well.
I did hours I saw on average. It's really hard for me to be able to kind of tell without going out and asking. I think it just varies. You know, some volunteers like Vicki Sinwell, this is her jam. So she does this, you know, more than some other volunteers. And really, we don't even, so our funding is running out where we won't have staff working on this, you know, probably starting midsummer. And so that's why I say it's hard, you know, we don't have a hard deadline because we do know that this is going to continue past the funding. So I anticipate this being at least at 2 more years working on georeferencing, if I had to guess.
Excellent.
All right, we have about a minute, a little less than a minute.
Judith, I think that's a great time for us to transition, and I'll get the next screen popped up so that we can get Ashley.
That's great. Well,
thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much, Ashley. As always a very fascinating project. All right. So let's see. Our next speaker is going to be Emily Grant. She's with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service, and her talk is going to be about Walk Across Texas, birding addition support.
All right. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We sure can.
Perfect. All right. Sorry, I don't normally share my screen as a slideshow. Give me just a second. Okay. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm going to have to say I am a rookie. Presenter for the virtual volunteer fair, but I am definitely excited to be here and join y'all. So a little bit of background, my name is Emily Grant and I am the Gillespie County 4-H and Youth Development Agent. But prior to doing 4-H and Youth Development, I was the agent in Del Rio in Valverde County. And so started birding with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. And so now serve as a coordinator in that role.
Hey, Emily, before you jump in too hard, will you press that from beginning button in the top left-hand corner of your screen.
From beginning.
See where it says slideshow? So you're not sharing your slides quite yet. You're just sharing the PowerPoint application. Or you may need to stop sharing and reshare if you.
It's not loving it, and I don't love it either. Okay, can we?
You have to share your whole screen and not just the application for it to work. So maybe try sharing your whole screen and then doing the presentation part.
Can you see that?
We can see your second slide, but in the application itself.
Okay. Yeah, it's just not love. It's wanting to display so terribly. Oh, I know what it's doing. Oh, move over here. It's not picking the right screen to go on. Oh, what a rudeness.
Okay. We got time.
No, I don't, because I'm going to use all 15 of my minutes, I assure you. I need all of those. Okay, hold on. Let me try to change where it wants to go. Oh, you turd.
We'll try one more time, and if not, we can use it from the application and just make sure that it's zoomed in.
Oh, try now.
Aha!
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so a little bit of background with Birding with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. We started in 2017. And I had this crazy idea to load a bunch of birders on a bus and highlight private land management and birding on private lands in Texas. And thank God we never got on the bus, but we involved our program into a birding program called Birding the Border. And we spent 3 days with 16 different birders learning and birding on private ranches in Kinney County and trying to connect people to the land through the experience of birding. And then also on the flip side, foster an interest in conservation of natural resources and management for our landowners on those same properties. So we still provide a lot of unique experiences for birders to this day. And we also have incorporated youth birding programs. So we have the only state youth advanced birding camp here in Texas. So we're excited to run that through the Extension Service. And I know that we have a ton of master naturalists who join us for stuff. So thank you all for, if you all have ever joined a Birding with Extension virtual seminar and joined the Birding with Extension family. So thank you all so much already for all that y'all have done with us. So today I want to talk about Walk Across Texas Birding Edition. And so our goal is to seek a volunteer or volunteers to help gather and review information about habitat and bird data to build on a new initiative called Walk Across Texas Birding Edition. That's going to bring Walk Across Texas is a program already through Extension where we promote health and wellness and walking as a healthy activity. But this is a new take on that to bring some information and incorporate birding, wildlife, habitat knowledge through the program. So they have several different programs through Walk Across Texas. They have a Texas History Edition that they use in our youth programs and with schools. And so it's a really neat really neat health and wellness program that we're hoping to add another option for. So we need your help to compile accurate and engaging regional birding and habitat data to kind of create this educational resource that as people participate in Walk Across Texas, they're getting a secondary layer of education about wildlife, our ecoregions, habitat, and birding. So I don't know, being a rookie here, I'm not sure what the best thing was to do. So I kind of gave an example of what we're looking for an end product. And so what we're trying to get to, and this is very flexible, guys. We are hoping that our Master Naturalist volunteers will bring in some creativity and have some idea to help us build this, where it's a really unique experience for whoever participates in that Walk Across Texas. So we already have Walk Across Texas progress map stops. And so our first generation of this program is going to be used by building on these current stops. But if you think about it, they're walking from stop to stop. So our goal is like, so from Orange to Houston, we might be talking about the habitats they walk through, or the birds they could see as they transition through those counties. So it's not necessarily, those are our progress stops. And we're going to keep that for, what's the word here, guys? For our programmers to keep some consistency here in our first generation of this, and then look at maybe building other routes across Texas, depending upon how well this program is utilized. So we'll keep some of those things the same, but then the fun facts, the stop language, the website links, those are all flexible. And so we can have a lot of different things in these categories that we're sharing or educating people on. So I envision this to have maybe fun facts. What habitat are you in? What ecoregion are you in? What birds could you see? And maybe some links to those birds when they click on them and it pops up pictures so they could start experiencing those things. So lots of different options here. We are looking for our volunteers to bring some creative ideas and definitely are flexible to have some of those conversations. Project logistics. I'm going to go ahead and probably break all the rules of the virtual volunteer fair and say there's lots of opportunities to volunteer with Birding with Extension. We have lots of different programs and always need a helping hand. So if you're interested in volunteering with Birding with Extension, feel free to sign up. We will sift through everybody who's interested in Birding with Extension volunteering, maybe other opportunities, but also this project probably is a requirement of 1 to 3 people. They can either work as together or work as individuals. Even after hearing Mary Pearl, everything's based upon you getting your volunteer hours is based on the counties within your chapter. And so maybe we take one person from each chapter who can work on the section that it covers, the walk across section covers in their chapter's counties. So this is a one-time project. Once we build it, we're done. Great. I think that this is a maximum of a time commitment of about 40 hours, depending upon your knowledge of birds and how in depth you want to do this. We're flexible on that time commitment and when it's done. We have a goal completion date by fall. My original submission said May, but that's because we weren't in April yet. Thinking that it's done by the end of the May may be a bit of a stretch, but I think as a team, we can get it done this summer sometime. This is a virtual opportunity to be done at a distance. There will be no need for in-person meetings. We'd love to meet you and welcome that, but this doesn't have to be done in person. We'll try to meet with the team of volunteers prior to the beginning on the project. Let's decide what our goals are, if you'll have some creative ideas on how to build this out to be very comprehensive. We'll check in about mid-project and we'll check in with our volunteers and then we'll have a wrap-up meeting so y'all can share anything that y'all thought about as y'all have completed that. Again, I think this is a relatively small data collection project, and if you have the knowledge base, have no doubt that someone could get this taken care of very quickly. Needs, experience, advanced training, basically computer with Excel. The knowledge of computer with Excel, if you have the knowledge of habitats, ecosystems, or birds, or you're willing to research that, and also knowledge and use of eBird is going to be definitely helpful as you start compiling that data. The benefits for you. So we're building this Walk Across Texas program to create a cross-curricular education material for youth and adults to learn more about our natural world. So this is I see this as a future opportunity to use this as a tool for your chapters and to engage youth outdoor education. So if you think about it, maybe they're participating in Walk Across Texas and Master Naturalists can help create those educational moments as they participate in school with the facts that we've created. As they complete those different sections or they complete those specific mile impacts. So this has the potential to be a huge impact. In 2024, 44,000 people completed Walk Across Texas. So the reach for this and reaching a new audience for Master Naturalist is huge. So over the last 10 years, that the average participation is about 40,000. So even if half of them participate in Walk Across Texas Birding Edition, we're providing that education about our natural world to 20,000 people a year. This is Walk Across Texas is facilitated in counties all over the state by county extension agents. Why we need you? Birding with Extension team is pretty much limited to 2 people, and we need help to do more. So this was a great opportunity to engage with our Master Naturalists and allow y'all to help us develop something that we can implement across the state. We have big plans for Walk Across Texas Birding Edition. I can't share all of them today. Through Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service, we're still talking about implementing this in other ways that are super cool. Excited to share when that maybe gets to happen. But this would be a public program that is utilized by all of Extension Service and is a statewide program already. If you don't know, maybe you're a local birder, but definitely haven't traveled outside your ecoregion or your county to bird, this is a great way to start learning about different birds and the habitats and their behaviors in different parts of the state. We have a vast state with a lot of different birds, and so I would say this is a great first researching step to learn birds outside of your area. That way you have when you're ready to take that step out to traveling, you've done a little bit of that research. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna run out of time. I knew it. Here's my contact information. I will leave it up. I'm gonna go ahead and throw my cell phone number out there. I know that's a scary idea. But what I'm gonna say is text is preferred. As an extension agent, I don't sit in my office a lot. So if you would like me to call you, or have a phone conversation with you, please text me and say, hey, please call about the volunteering for Master Naturalists. That's the best way to get a hold of me, or via email. So I see some questions and I will try to answer them in my last 2 minutes. Oh, I'm so sorry, guys.
You're doing
Emily,
good.
not a
You're
problem.
doing great.
You're doing great. One of the questions that came in is actually related to Walk Across Texas. Could you give us a quick elevator run of what the Walk Across Texas program is? Are they actually out there walking along I-10 from Orange to El Paso?
No, they are not actually walking from Orange to El Paso, but it is a virtual program where people log their hours. And so a lot of counties in Texas, they do this in a group. So like the Parker County group, and they get together and they walk and they track their miles as a team to see if they can walk across Texas in 6 weeks. So it's a health and wellness initiative to get people moving. And I thought also birders are outside walking anyways. We're outdoors. So all of that walking and movement counts towards their Walk Across Texas. Why don't we have a educational moment for our birders, our naturalists who could participate in Walk Across Texas as well? So we're really trying to build something that's cross-curricular within the Texas A&M Extension Service to provide education on health and wellness, but also our natural world.
It would be educational birder tips and tricks as folks are engaging in the walk
Yes.
locally in their local park to meet those Walk Across Texas miles.
Okay. I see, looking at the Birding with Extension website page, don't see a link. Where do we, oh, you got that one.
Yeah.
What is the birding part of the program? Okay. So the birding oh, I'm at 15 minutes. I'll try to type. I apologize.
Thank you, Emily. I appreciate it so much. I know there's a lot of great.
I couldn't do 15 minutes. It's gonna be hard.
You did great though. Awesome. So our next presenter is going to be David Gwynn. Excuse me. And he is with the USA National Phenology Network, which is part of Nature's Network. Our notebook, excuse me. And his talk is going to be Time to Restore, a multi-state citizen science project to connect people, plants, and my favorite, pollinators. So David, we can see your presentation and you are ready to roll.
Good morning. Thank you, Judith. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Very good. Then I'll jump right in the interest of time and keeping us moving along. First, thank you for the opportunity to have this sharing opportunity about a really exciting project that Texas has joined late last summer, and we're now rolling this project out across the state. So thank you for the opportunity to share it. The project's called Time to Restore, and I'm the Texas State Coordinator for Time to Restore. Time to Restore is actually a 4-state project in the south central part of the U.S. It includes Oklahoma, New Mexico, Louisiana, and as of late last summer, Texas has now joined the effort. And so the 4 states are moving forward, focusing on native plants. Here in Texas, we have 29 native plant species. We share 8 of those 29 with the other 3 states. So because Texas is so large and so diverse, we've added an additional 21 species to make the effort a bit more diverse and a bit more participatory across the great state of Texas and all 10 of our ecoregions. What the project is all about in its essence is really looking at at least one of those 29 native plant species and their changes in seasonal events as they go through their cycles in the face of climate change. So if you're looking for a project that lets you focus on native plants in as simple as your front yard, if you have one of these species there, you can do this at home once the project has been approved by your particular chapter. And right now I think we're right at 65 counties across the state that have their Master Naturalist chapter has approved the project. So if you decide to be part of this project, be sure and check with your volunteer services director to make sure that the project has been approved thus far. And many of the urban areas have actually already approved the project, but if yours hasn't, I'll be happy to work with them to do that. All of this effort, this community science effort, if you will, is meant to collect data that will better inform pollinator restoration projects across the 4 states. So that's what the project's all about. And the 2 seasonal events we're really fixated on, and we'll get into a little bit of detail here, is flowering. When does flowering occur on those 29 species? And when do they set seed? So those are the 2 seasonal events that you would be collecting data on for the 29 species that we are focused on. All of that, and many of y'all will hear a new word here, phenology is the study of the timing of plant and animal seasonal events. So the host for the Time to Restore project is actually the USA National Phenology Network, which is hosted at the University of Arizona in Tucson. And they do a number of projects throughout the year across our great country that deal with phenology, redbuds, pollinators, all kinds of different plant and animal groups that they study the seasonal change. And this project is the first one that's been brought to Texas to really focus on Texas and the native plant species that we have that are being impacted by climate change as our climate changes and evolves through time. Okay. I mentioned pollinator restoration is at the focal point of the project. There are a lot of questions we hope this study will help inform, but the one I would probably draw your attention to most is that one just right of the pollinator restoration, which says which species are becoming mismatched. One of the efforts, if you decide to become part of this project, one of the efforts that we're trying to really hone in on is we know that things that used to happen on a very predictable time schedule throughout the season are now starting to happen earlier. So flowers are starting to bud earlier, flowers are starting to bloom earlier, birds are starting to nest earlier, and that's all being driven by our warming climate. So as our climate evolves, it's putting pressure on the seasonal phenomena of our native species. And so this study is really hoping that we can better analyze, understand, and report on which species, particularly of these 29 species, are becoming mismatched as the climate evolves and changes here in Texas. Okay. A little bit about the project logistics. The beauty of this project is there's unlimited number of volunteers can participate. In fact, the beauty of this community science project is that you as the volunteer really kind of get to set your schedule and really interface with the project and the program as you have the time and availability. So all you really need is to step up and say, I want to be part of it, and then find one or more of our target species to track. The beauty of the project is while you have 29 choices, you only have to have one species and even one plant to be a participant in this project. There are two ways to do that: through Nature's Notebook, which is an app that we developed for this particular collecting of ongoing data about plants and animals. Or if you're an iNaturalist user, you can do that as well. And I'll get into a little bit more about the differences in some of the training we do, but you have two avenues that you can use. The only real thing that you do in terms of data collection is you make your observations on a regular basis throughout the season. We ask that when flowering and seed production is going on, you try to at least observe your plant weekly. And you can do it at home in your native garden, your wildscape, or at a local nature center, or even out in the wilder parts of Texas. So it's a really easy project to access. Your front flower bed, if you have one of these species planted there, is an absolute contender for data observation and inclusion in the project. The time commitment is minimal. In fact, it's driven by the number of plants you want to observe. If you choose to only monitor, observe, and collect data on one plant in your flower bed, you can imagine that the time is extremely minimal and easily done on your way out or in throughout the day. There's no set time when you have to do it. So as long as you do it once during the week, you've met the objective of the project. The goal of this whole effort is to really capture the start, peak, and end of flowering and seed timing. So those are the two things that native plants would do that we're really trying to hone in on in terms of the time that they do it and the data that supports that. So the graphic that you see at the very top right-hand corner there shows you that as you as a volunteer in this project start to collect data, it will help us close that peak period in terms of when it's happening at your location. We can then take that information and marry it to climate data, and we'll start to understand what's happening with that plant species based on what you told us about that plant species, and then understand it in the context of climate change. So it's a really data-driven type project in an area where we don't have a lot of data. We know that the timing of these events are changing and evolving. We just don't have a lot of data to support it, and that's what this project is really meant to do. I mentioned that there are 8 species that we share with the other 3 states. Those are identified here in white. So you probably recognize a few of those species. The species on this list that are identified in black are the species that are unique to us. And so there are 21 species that were selected as part of this project just for Texas. And hopefully, when you look at this list, you spot at least one that you are familiar with and would potentially like to observe. And then that would make you a participant in this particular project if you chose to do it. There's a couple of columns here where you can see the distribution. Many of these plant species span not only Texas, but also Oklahoma, Louisiana, and even some of them span into New Mexico. The bloom months are identified on here. If you decide to become a part of this project and really want to focus in on getting better and understanding what the project's meant to do, I do a training on a monthly basis that you can participate in virtually, and it will go into detail on selecting plants that have a wide bloom month period so that your data collection efforts are spread out over the year, okay? In terms of equipment, there's really only a couple of things that you need to become a part of this project. A smartphone or a tablet that are both connected to Wi-Fi or the internet is the only physical device you need. You then can download the Nature's Notebook app or use your iNaturalist app if you have it, and put that on your smartphone, and now you're ready to go. You've got your data collection device, And the only other thing you need in terms of equipment and projectability here is access to at least one of the target plant species. Once you know where that plant is, if that plant's in your flower bed and it happens to be, let's say, Turk's cap, and you're going to monitor and observe and collect data on that particular plant, you would pull out your phone, upload or click on the Nature's Notebook app, and you would get a screen that looks very much like the very right-hand corner of this graphic it's a series of yes/no questions. So it's an extremely easy and quick process. If you only have time to answer the yes/no questions, that's great. It helps the project tremendously. But if you have more time, you can go further into the project and collect more data as you get better as a phenologist and a data observer under this project, okay? Minimal experience needed. We will train you if you decide to become part of this project, and you will become much more of a botany-driven data observer and collector. The AT training, and I've been doing trainings across Master Naturalist chapters and NIPSOT chapters across the state. There are 3 different AT sessions that you could go through: a project overview of about an hour and a half, a site setup, which lets you download the app and put it on your phone, and then finally how to do data collection. All of these, I can do them either live or we can do them as a pre-recorded. I have recordings of all of them that you can watch at your leisure. And then I have a couple of graphics there that show you some resources that we make available to anybody that participates in the project that are free and accessible to help you become a better botanist and a better phenologist in terms of observing seasonal phenomena in your wildscape or at your local nature center. Finally, benefits. This project is meant to support pollinators and better inform pollinator restoration projects, but it's really about getting volunteers involved in collecting data that help us better understand what's happening in Texas as our climate evolves. And we want to be ready. We know our pollinators are in trouble. We want to be part of that. The time commitment here is extremely flexible. You can observe on your own schedule. You can do it alone or as part of a group. I have a way for us to be able to connect you with a group if you would choose to do that at a local nature center in one of the major urban areas of Texas. All of them have a local phenology program set up somewhere. You'll become a better botanist if you have a particular interest in plants. This project will let you become a much better botanist and phenologist in terms of observing plant life cycle changes. And then the real beauty of it is you make a difference. You get to really help us collect Texas data. Texas came to the project relatively late because it was so big. They didn't exactly know how to handle the diversity of Texas with 10 ecoregions and a state of 254 counties. It was a real problem, but we're there now, and we are leading the way for all 4 states in this overall community science effort. With that, here's my contact information, and I'll stop there. If you'd like to connect to the project, take a picture of that QR code and do that at your leisure. But at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Awesome. Hi, David. We have a couple questions from the chat that I'll moderate, and I'll start at the top.
Okay.
Alyssa asks, if you choose to observe the Texas bluebonnet, do you have to observe the same plant each time, or can you view various plants within your general area?
So generally, you're observing the same plant or patch of plants over a period of time. That's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to measure when that phenomena was observed at that particular plant, and as it changes, what's new to that particular plant. So the answer is yes, but you have the ability to change that. So if you want to say it's a patch of bluebonnets, you have the ability to do that in Nature's Notebook.
Okay. And another question having to deal with life events. Is a person disqualified if they have travel plans and will have gaps in reporting on the plant cycle?
They are not. In fact, we will encourage you to pick plants that don't interfere with your travel schedule. So if you leave for the summer of Texas and you're a snowbird and go up north, might not pick the coneflower because it blooms in the summer, but you could absolutely pick Turk's cap or one of the plants that is much longer and blooms in other parts of the year. So we'll work with you. Any data is a help to this project.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the last question I can take.
Oh,
But
yes.
David, there is one last question in the chat if you're able to answer it.
I'll be happy to do
Thank
that.
you.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate all your interest in this project, and hope you'll become involved.
It's an exciting one, David. They all are. They're awesome.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is going to be Anna Westbrook. And Anna, are you alone today, or is John going to be joining you?
John is not joining me, unfortunately. And then
Okay.
after my presentation, then keep me logged in as panelist because Michelle will just hop on this computer.
Okay. Well, Anna Westbrook with Guadalupe Blanco River Authority is our next speaker, and she's going to be talking about the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority Essay Response Program. So if you want to go ahead and start sharing your screen.
Okay.
Looks like it's thinking.
Okay. Are we there yet?
We can see your PowerPoint program if you'll put it into slideshow mode.
There
All
we go.
set.
Perfect. Go ahead.
So again, my name is Anna Westbrook, and I'm happy to be here to talk with you. I am with GBRA, and what's lucky about GBRA is even though we are a river authority, we do have a facility that we offer outdoor education to our 10 counties. We have outdoor classrooms here on this location where we have over 5,000 students come out and visit us, where we talk about water conservation and, also our ecoregions, our different habitats. But for these programs, this is the virtual one. And this is where I really need help is with our two programs that I'm going to be speaking with you today about. So our first one is going to be our scholarship program. Each year, GBRA gives out $25,000, and that is spread across the 10 counties. And all the students have to do is be a graduating senior, either live or go to school in one of our 10 counties, and then fill out our application where they have to write an essay on a prompt. Each year that prompt changes, so each year the essays are going to be quite different. And we need help with scoring those essays so that we can give out monies to help them with higher education, whether that be a four-year college, a two-year community college, or even a technical school. Because within a river authority, we have all the different fields. We have, a financial department, we have communications, we also have all of the environmental different departments as well. And so that is just a quick intro into the scholarship program. And these essays, they're typically about 3 pages long, and then plus their works cited page. So you get an idea about how long each of these essays are. Now it can range on how many we have. We can get in, 100 applicants or, up to 200 applicants. So each year it does vary. Our other essay program is the 4th grade composition challenge. And this is where students have a program where it's very modeled to help them with STAR. And so they're given a reading passage that they have to read and then answer a prompt. The prompt's very easy. Right now it is, why is water important to you? And what can you do to help conserve and protect it? And so then they will write their essay based on what they've learned and how they've gotten ready for STAR. Each of these things are submitted to GBRA, and we need volunteers to help us score them. Each of these are scored based on a rubric. Of course, the 4th grade rubric is going to be much different than the high school senior rubric. All right, and then with the GBRA scholarship program, we need help getting a new and current writing prompt. It can be anything about water issues within GBRA or within, Central Texas and even all the way down to the Gulf Coast region, as long as it's relevant and also they have, a meaty enough prompt so that they have to do research, because that is our main thing, is to help educate these kids on our water issues. All right. So we score each of these essays and based on, their application. They have a total grand score that they get. To keep GBRA out of scoring the individual essays, that's where we call in the volunteers to help do that for us. They receive a binder, and based on their scores, then we award, monies throughout the 10-county district. And with our 4th grade composition challenge, they get prizes as well, but theirs is much more like t-shirts or color changing cups, pins, and even a little conserve water clean for their mirror to remind them to turn off their water while they're brushing their teeth. And so even though they're with different grades, they're very similar in what we're asking volunteers to do. The volunteers needed, I'd say roughly 12. We always take more volunteers. For timeline, since these are based on the school year and when they have STAR and when schools start getting ready to do their presentations, their award ceremonies for scholarship awarding, our timeline's kind of strict. We usually start at the beginning of February, and then it can go all the way through mid-April. Right, we have different meetings that we need to do for the GBRA scholarship program. The work that you do in scoring these essays can be done at home. The meetings can be done by Zoom, and we can ship you the binder that we put together with the essays that you will be scoring. And with the 4th grade composition challenge, those are going to be virtual anyways. So we just send it PDF straight to you, and you get to work at your own pace within this timeline. So with the scholarship program, we have 3 meetings that we abide by. The first one is where you receive your packet and we assign values to the rubric. You will be a part of the committee where we help assign those values. And the reason why we have to do it each year, because the prompt is different each year. Sometimes we have 2 question part prompts where each question is weighted differently. And then sometimes the overall points that can be awarded will change from year to year. So we have the initial meeting. This is where you get your essays, and then we'll have a catch up within, the first couple of weeks to see how the first 15 essays went, to answer any questions you might have, and so that we can see how it's going. Each year is different, especially coming off of COVID. The essays have been different. So, and then finally we'll have our final meeting. We'll go over little things that might have been missed by the students or any type of information that might have been not quite as correct as we would like to have seen. And then we'll wrap up and start planning for next year at that last meeting as well. There it goes. All right, so all the supplies are provided for you, and we would like volunteers that are comfortable scoring with a rubric. A rubric is just basically a chart that helps you, as you read through, know where to score and how to score and what point value to give the students. The 4th grade composition challenge is very easy. It's just a 3-parter. It's of course more complicated for the high school seniors because you have to worry about, do they have all the things? Do they have their citations, works cited page? Have they provided examples? Have they really researched and used their information correctly? And so also all those go into that rubric. So if you're comfortable with that, then please volunteer. Our current volunteers are a mix of retired former educators, people from the water industry, and Texas Master Naturalists. They fit right in because you already are out in the community. This is a very community-paced. This helps educate our future voters, and so you fit right in with this project. Oh, it is just taking so long. All right, and so we would like GBRA to not be the scorers. That's why we ask for volunteers. Our education department's mission is to increase awareness and appreciation of water and natural resources in the Guadalupe River Basin. And GBRA's stewardship, protection, conservation, and reclamation of these resources. So we would like you to be a part of that and to help us educate our future voters. And also stress different water issues throughout. That's why we change our prompt each year, is to really hit what's happening in the rural world. Because right now this drought is really affecting us, especially here living by Canyon Lake. And so as you can imagine, our topic this year was about drought and how it affected our flora and fauna with the lack of, water quantity and how that affected its quality as well. All right, so if you are interested in joining us, all right, this is our volunteer coordinator, John Labonte. You can contact him at this email. My email is here as well. Unfortunately, he couldn't join today, but we would be happy to hear from you. Please contact us with any questions, especially for next year as we gear up and get ready to make those prompts and start getting that out and prepared for next year's classes. All right, so any questions?
Awesome. We have about 4 minutes, a little less than 4 minutes left. So let's see.
Okay.
I'm
There's
looking
not
in.
currently any questions in. I'm sure folks are working on typing out those questions right now.
Perfect.
I guess
So
I have
do
a
you have,
question, Anna, as a mom who's working on getting her son to write scholarship essays for everything. We do not live in GBRA, unfortunately. Do you have a tool that you would engage volunteers in checking those essays against AI? So making sure that those essays aren't being written by ChatGPT as an example.
And what we found is the ones that we've gotten really haven't been. So I don't expect volunteers to do that for this. I just want them to score what's given to them, but make notes to see if anything sounds like AI. And what I do is I will run them through AI to make sure that they aren't being, that there are actually written. And so we try to make a prompt that kind of adds extra information so that we know whenever they just plug something into AI, it's giving them information that's not really been asked of the students. And so we do that as well, but we definitely do scan for AI, but I don't expect the volunteers to do that.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And that actually was a question that came in the chat after I asked it, because that's something that I think everybody's dealing with as they're reviewing written content, is making sure that that there's original writing in those
Yes.
responses.
And so that's one of the things we really debated about continuing with the essay portion is it still relevant today? But as a college student, you still have to write, and writing helps. Whenever you write out your thoughts, organization also happens as well. And writing is just a great learning tool. And so we wanted to continue with that. And if we could get, whoever applies for this scholarship, if they research, they're educating themselves as well. And so we want to keep the writing portion a part of the scholarship application.
Absolutely, 100% agree. We do have a question, and it's a question that I think I can help answer parts of it here. So Aaron asks, is a master naturalist to count service hours, do we need to live within in the GBRA area? Yes, if you're wanting to count service hours for participating in this project, you'll need to live within that GBRA district. So those are the counties that Michelle has listed above in the chat, and I will share those on the screen. They're also listed in the catalog as well. But if you are not wanting to count master naturalist hours, this is the question to you, Anna. Would you take a volunteer who does not live in GBRA territory helping to grade these papers?
Absolutely, as long as they understand what water issues might arise, because some students talk about basically what's around them. So some of our students are talking about the health of the bay and the local rice farmers, or they'll talk about a certain maybe like a chemical plant that they know is around them. So like take Formosa, they know that plastic pellets are getting into the water, and they might talk about how that's disrupting. As long as the volunteer just understands or knows or doesn't mind looking a few words or things up, yeah, we don't mind at all.
Wonderful. So we're
Awesome,
reaching
Anna.
in. Go ahead, Judith.
Oh, I was just gonna say we're running. We've just ran out of time. So, but
Yeah.
Meryl, did you have something else you wanted to add?
No, there's another question in the chat, but if we have time at the end of your second presentation, Anna, we'll ask you that question.
Okay, perfect.
And I believe there's going to be a computer switch, correct, Anna?
Same computer, just a PowerPoint
Yeah.
switch.
Yeah, Michelle Darnell is
All right,
going to be
Michelle.
speaking next. And she's
All
also
right,
with the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority. And will be speaking on
This is
preparation and implementation
this
of
one.
environmental
I'm
lessons.
gonna let you click.
So
There. Anna's helping me figure out this switcheroo.
sounds good.
Click this through. And then yours is the next one up. Done. Perfect.
All right, we see the program. If you'll share those slides in full mode, then we'll be good to go.
Don't exit because I'll answer those questions.
Okay, you gonna make it back?
Yeah.
Okay. Anna's got to go teach.
Sounds good.
All right.
I love the teamwork here.
Well, now my team is left. I'm stuck by myself.
Okay. So Michelle, if you'll go to the slideshow tab at the top.
Slideshow tab at the top. Okay.
Click on that. And then there's a little bit of a delay, so I'm hoping that you're clicking on that slideshow tab.
I don't see a slideshow tab.
In the orange, it's got File, Home, Insert, Design.
Yes. Okay, that
Slideshow.
bar is covering that up. Maybe that's under there
And then
Another way
from
is at the
beginning.
bottom.
from the beginning.
Right-hand side also.
Ha! How about that?
There you go.
Perfect.
Looks great.
Okay. All right. So my name is Michelle Darnell. I also work here at GBRA. That's the Guadalupe Blanco River Authority. Anna and I both work with the outdoor classroom, and that's what I'm going to be asking for help with today, is preparing materials for the outdoor classroom. And we also send a lot of things to teachers in schools that requires just a little bit of prep work. So this is one of our outdoor classrooms. This is actually a group of teachers, but for those of you in this area, we do gorge tours with the Lindheimer group, the Guadalupe group, the Hayes and Alamo counties. Anyone who touches this area close enough who wants to travel to the gorge. We do this to educate the master naturalists, but we also have a little bit of a selfish reason, and that we would like for some of you to come back and help us educate others. So today we have an outdoor classroom going on with 70 students here at the Gorge. They're going through a rotation of 4 different lessons, and just the little the preparation for some of those lessons sometimes takes quite a while. And that is where we're looking for help from the master naturalist. So you would be assisting in the outdoor classroom. You'd be assisting with research, cutting, pasting, assembling things for the schools. We also send out trunks, and these trunks have everything the teacher needs to perform a science lesson. So all they have to do is open it up. The lesson plan is there, and all the materials are there ready to go. And as a former science teacher, if this type of thing had been offered to me, there would have been a lot more science done in my school. I was a very active science teacher in itself, but some teachers especially if you're in a self-contained classroom, science is kind of scary. So what I found is if we have everything ready for the teacher and all they have to do is open it up and go, they are much more, they're going to use those materials much more. And we really need to get these science things into the kids' hands. So the volunteers for this will be helping to prepare and organize some of these kits that are being sent out to the schools. Next year, in the past, we have done lessons where we take a trunk to the school and we leave it there, and then we pick it up in a week and bring it back. Next year, we're going to try a new thing where we just mail them everything, because we ended up spending a lot of hours just driving from school to school in this area, and we weren't able to reach all 10 of the counties that touch the Guadalupe River. So this blower on this one is there for a reason. We do a lesson that has to do with, oh, I have jumped ahead. Okay, I'll tell you about that lesson in a minute. So some of the lessons that we would do would be preparing materials to encourage. We're trying to encourage these teachers to do more hands-on activities. It might be cutting foil to a certain measurement, or cutting freezer paper, or counting paper clips and putting 25 paper clips in a little snack baggie. All of these little things can be done very easily sitting at home. And we have master naturalists who come out here and help us with the classrooms quite a bit, and they have been taking things home to help us. But if we're going to start mailing these lessons to the schools, we're expecting a higher volume of requests. And so to meet those requests, we need some help preparing these materials. So back to the blower that was on the front. This is a lesson where this student has a blower and he's pretending to be a little frog. And this lesson teaches the students about the needs of a habitat and how frogs are an indicator species, what frogs eat. So what he's doing is, on the end of that blower is a little Velcro dot. On the grass, which you don't see, I don't know, you might be able to see it right at the end of his blower, there is an insect that has the other side of the Velcro dot. So the students in this lesson, I would need help putting the Velcro dots on the blowers. That sounds like a silly job, but it is a very impactful lesson, and the kids love it. And they walk away understanding what an indicator species is and why it's important. On the back of those insects, there are different colored dots that represent pollutants, and we talk about the pollutants that get into our creeks and rivers. This is just one of the lessons we do. I've got several examples. So that one would be helping with the blowers. This one is called The Incredible Journey, and it talks about the water cycle. Now, these students, what you don't see, or you can see behind the little boy with the green square on his shirt, there's a sign. At that sign, there's a dice and there's a bowl with these different color squares. Those different color squares, we call them tiles. We need those cut out. And then we'll need somebody to help us build the dice. So the kids rotate, they roll the dice, and it tells them where to go. So if they go to the ocean, they have a pretty good chance of rolling the dice and ending up anywhere, except the aquifer, because the water from the ocean doesn't. So did I say, okay, if they're going to the sign that says ocean, the only place they can go, sorry, I messed up on that one, is they have to evaporate, or they could go into a glacier. So we do this lesson. For me, I know that I've been successful when they start complaining that the dice are loaded. They start to understand that it's not really random. It's only the places that a water drop could go from that place, from the ocean, or from the glacier, or from the river or lake. These are the 9 different places where water is stored naturally. And this is a very popular lesson, but it's very time consuming to create. And so the teachers don't do it. When they check out our trunk, we deliver it to them, they do the lesson, and then we come back and pick it up. But our goal is to get these things in the classroom so that the teachers can use them more often and have them more ready for them to use. This is another lesson that we do. In this one, you would be helping, and it seems silly, but cutting freezer paper to 18 inches. Students do not understand what a watershed is. And so as you can see in the picture in the middle, a watershed, you've got the ridge of that mountain, the water that sheds off to either side, that is a watershed. The picture with the blue, that one with the little blue drops, that one's got cups underneath it, and they have to build a mountain range, and that shows that there are several different watersheds in that one. And so for this lesson, we would need help counting out cups, folding the wax paper, and cutting and folding the freezer paper. This is a lesson called H2O Olympics, and it explores the 3 states of matter for the water. It identifies the water as a molecule, and it demonstrates adhesion and cohesion. So that picture in the middle where that person is dropping that penny in there, you'll notice that is, well, you can see the bottom picture on the left, that cup has a meniscus. That's as full as that cup can go. And if you ask them, do you think you can fit any pennies in there? Or how many do you think? They're going to tell you 2 or 3. Well, actually, they can end up putting up to 50 pennies in one of those cups because of the cohesion, the water particles holding together. For that one, we just need help counting everything out. We have pennies and paper clips and things like that. Writing the number, that little cup in the middle, it says they have to put in 95 mLs. So they're going to be working with a little graduated cylinder. So they get experience with that. This lesson is a new one that we're coming up with, and we're going to be offering it as a trunk this year. This is a STEAM activity, which is a big acronym for the schools right now: science, technology, engineering, and math. And they will be given a certain size piece of foil. They will have to build that foil into a boat and then see how many pennies their little boat can actually hold up.
Michelle, you got 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm almost done. Another one, which is just really people, we sit here and do this as we're waiting for the schools to come up. But anytime the kids come out, we give them a journal. This journal has all the lessons we're doing. And then on the back of it, we tell them to bring their family back for a free hike. So we're trying to get these kids interested in what they're seeing and doing, and bring their family back and show them how excited they were to be here at the gorge. If you're interested in helping us with any of these activities, we can put the activities together. We can put all the materials together. It would be better if you were close enough to pick them up, but we would probably work on mailing them to you if somebody a greater distance was interested. This is the address for the Canyon Lake Gorge. You can contact us at the education, that's education@gbra.org. That goes to me and Anna and John. That will hit all of us at one time. So if you had a question about anything, if you were to email that, one of us, we would all get it, and one of us would know how to reply to you. The time commitment, it's whatever amount of time you want to spend on it. And right now we are not locked into needing materials next week. We are trying to plan ahead so that we can have these things ready for the teachers to ask for, and we can start mailing them out in August. But it's not just an August commitment. They ask for things throughout the entire year. So right now there's some of the schools are starting to study sedimentary rock. So just this week, Anna's gotten requests for trunks for the sedimentary rock. So it's not, teachers don't plan so far in advance and order everything. Sometimes it's 2 weeks. Oh yeah, I think I could use that. And they reach out to us. So this is an ongoing thing. There's no start or stop date. And once you get the materials, I would say do it within a reasonable amount of time. And I don't know. Do y'all have any questions for me? My screen disappeared.
Yes. Oh, we are out of time.
Okay.
I don't see any questions, Anna, in the chat. I think you did a really, not Anna, Michelle, in the chat. I think you did a really great job of explaining everything. There was a question for Anna previously about
Okay,
scholarship
she's right here.
funds. So
Alrighty.
when you're able to log in, we need to move on to our next presenter. But Anna,
So-
you're welcome to chat that question, that answer to that question in the chat for us.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Absolutely. Judith, take it away.
She said, look at me.
Oh, Judith, I think we lost her. So our next presenter is Jamie Ray Walker. She's going to present on Texas Municipal Park Providers Inventory. So Jamie, I see your presentation. If you'll put it into full screen mode, we're ready to roll for our 12:30 presentation.
Great. Did you just see me go into full screen mode?
Not yet. No, ma'am. You might have been sharing the application, not the screen.
I was sharing the application. So do I need to share the screen?
Screen sharing is better. That way it shows the whole thing. Yes,
I
ma'am.
apologize. Thank you, y'all.
No
Sorry, I
worries.
am subbing in. So let me go back to.
It takes a village. We appreciate everybody helping out.
Okay, so share screen.
Yes, ma'am.
I got it. And then window. Okay, did it work that time?
Now we see your PowerPoint.
Okay.
You want to try
Do you see the
launching
full
this?
screen? I have it in full screen mode.
No, we don't yet. Not yet.
Okay. Do you want me to stop sharing again?
You can try it one more time. If not, we can work off of this.
Okay. Sorry, everyone.
It's okay. Jamie Ray's our pinch hitter for this presentation, so we're giving her that grace.
Okay, thank you. So the little camera near the bottom right. My choices are screen or application.
Share your screen.
Okay, I did that.
And if you
Entire
have multiple screens, you may need to share one or the other.
Okay, I hit, it's not letting me do full screen. When I hit share, it's freezing.
It's okay. Then just share the application and we'll run off of what we can see.
Okay, I'm gonna try full
We
screen.
are seeing like the PowerPoint with the slides on the
Yeah,
side,
on the
but
left.
that's okay.
So you're not seeing the full screen?
No, ma'am. We'll make this work.
Okay. All right. Hello. And thank you everyone for your patience. I'm Jamie Ray Walker. I am pitch hitting for Abigail Hess, our program aide today. I'm an associate professor and extension specialist, and my team provides support for our urban and municipal parks throughout Texas. So those are typically your local parks, either managed by a local government, like city, community, town, or sometimes your county as well. We conduct and maintain a Texas Municipal Park Provider Inventory. We try and have a basic understanding of the types of parks they have and infrastructure within those parks. And then we also trying to create a contact list because there are some communities that have the same person for a long time, and there are other communities where there's turnover quite quickly. And then we are fortunate, many of our communities in Texas are growing, and so they are starting to create more formal positions either within public works or even creating park departments to help be stewards of these lands. So we're excited to be able to know about them and be able to get information from them and share information with them about resources through agri-life groups like Master Naturalist and other resources in Texas. So we need help because there are over 1,500 communities in Texas, and over 6 of them directly have parks, and we are seeing more and more take on managing their open spaces as well. So this is fairly simple for those who like check marks, who need some time at home when it gets hotter. But in phase one, we just need to confirm and or collect the local contact information for who is the current land steward. And sometimes it's multiple people in one community, depending on if they have private groups taking care of land, if they have public groups, if they have county parks or county open spaces, and if they have city, town, or other groups taking care of it. So that's the first phase. And then once we confirm that information, we send out the inventory, which we basically call a survey. We ask them about their land holdings, their education needs, and their planning needs, so that we can help them get information to them about those resources. And then where we need some assistance in phase two for those who are willing, and you can participate in one or the other or both, is oftentimes we need help following up and helping them understand the importance or reminding them. The last time we did this very successfully, we've done it a few times through COVID and everyone was very busy. But the last time we did this, we had great success with some communities. They couldn't complete the entire survey, but they were willing to do a short phone interview and answer the most important questions. So we always need help conducting those interviews. I say we need help with those follow-ups without coercion because we cannot force anyone to participate. So we're looking for people who can be very patient and be willing to say, no, we're not trying to make a final sale here. We need to be very respectful of the people we're trying to reach out to. Sometimes we need help troubleshooting responses. Sometimes they put questions within the survey or the way they answer it. We're not sure what they're saying. We try and route in full, depending on how many of those types of responses we get, to have someone local or close by reach out to them. And then again, as I mentioned, sometimes people prefer the interview style survey instead of a paper survey. And sometimes there's additional questions we need to ask, or they're willing to share additional information. So the project expectations overall is to update the database and to be able to provide a report. We have found particularly our smaller communities and our growing communities don't always know what their neighbors or who their potential peers are. And sometimes that's not their neighbors. So they've enjoyed being able to have information about who's doing what out there. And then for the volunteers, some of the outcomes are if you really enjoy updating stuff, if you enjoy having strong communication with your local county or neighbor county providers or statewide, depending on how you participate, if you get satisfaction from seeing things completed, or if you have interest in interviewing and just listening to people and helping them be a part of this, very busy people like people yourselves who are very busy, but who just need help with a reminder or getting a different format. And then if you're someone who loves check marks, there's a lot of opportunities to say check mark. Yes, I made that call. I found that contact information. If that's gratifying to you. Logistically, we can take 20 to 30 volunteers. Abigail will be helping to navigate everyone and keep them moving forward. The project will occur from today, because you're learning about it today, through November 1st. We try and get all the contact information first and then start the mail outs, but some take a little bit more time. So we do some of our communities in rounds. The work is virtual and it's mainly Monday through Friday. If you're trying to verify the contacts, we do request phone calls to verify it because there's a lot of misinformation out there on the webpage. It's also often a great start, but not the final step for us. And the time commitment, I apologize, I believe there's a typo in there. The time committed is flexible. Obviously, some work has to be done during the day. I do want to note, if you're interested in doing the survey request, that there will be a required 1 hour, very simple, usually does not take an hour, training, just to make sure you're asking the right questions, again, not being coercive. And we will offer that several times over the summer. Project experience, equipment, most work occurs via the computer and phone. Basic computer skills and internet access are needed. Strong communication skills are needed. Training for those working on the survey recruitment and interviews would be offered 3 times over the summer. And we will use things like a doodle poll to determine the best time for the volunteers for the training. We will record the training, so you'll be able to go back and watch it, or watch it if you weren't able to attend one of those 3 sessions. And then Abigail will have virtual office hours where you can reach her via Zoom or Teams, whichever one you're more comfortable with, to support you. She also will be available on the phone and email as well. So the benefits is, again, this is a great project for someone who likes lists, check marks, talking to others, and really helping moving the logistics of a project forward. The bigger outcome is we have a considerable amount of turnover in our land managers, and most of them do not have a lot of resources or budgets for education. And so by understanding what land they have and what needs they have, we can help match them to their resources within Extension, within Master Naturalist, and also within our partner organizations around the state and the country. We can create regional information for contacts for people who have similar land holdings and help connect them to each other. And then we can also use it to guide policy and research case studies to support their decision-making, their land acquisition, and then their funding and maintenance. It's been very helpful, this type of information for communities around the state. So that's a very general overview. We would appreciate it if people interested could sign up by April 15th. If you missed that deadline, we'll still take you probably if we haven't had 20 to 30 sign up. We also have a QR code right here if that's easier for you, that takes you directly to the sign up, or you can email Abigail and she will send you a link to it. I mean, I'm available for questions. I think I have a few minutes, right, Mary?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you've got a few minutes and there's a few questions in the chat. I'm going to answer a question that I think might come in as well. So This project does have a faster timeline for volunteers meeting, which is why they're collecting volunteers either by reaching out directly with Abigail or that QR code that Jamie Ray has on the screen now. We will also be sharing the list of volunteers who have signed up by April 15th on our SurveyMonkey link website. For the entirety of Virtual Volunteer Fair, we'll be sharing that with this group on April 15th. Otherwise, that link closes on April 30th. And then again, we'll still be sharing that link with, or that list of full complete volunteers with Jamie Ray and with Abigail as well.
Yes, and I apologize, Mary. If y'all are collecting volunteers through the 30th, we will gladly change that date to the 30th.
Oh, okay.
Be on this,
I didn't know how fast y'all are wanting. We're collecting volunteers through the 30th.
No, that would be fine. Let's not confuse everyone. We will go through the 30th, everyone.
Okay, then we'll just use our link. Yeah, that sounds great.
Yes.
There's a few questions in the chat in the couple of minutes that we have left.
Okay.
And Thomas wants to know if there's a way that he can see an example of the survey that they will be asking.
Yes, we can provide an example. If you'll email Abigail, we can email you an example of the survey. Yes, we just ask that no one distribute it outside the realm of this project so people don't get confused. Yes.
Great. And then Lori asks if the North Texas chapter is currently participating in the project. There's curiosity of, does my chapter already participate or help out with this project?
Not currently. We just got accepted about a week and a half ago to present this virtually. So we don't have current chapters participating.
Perfect.
And
then I think the last question I can answer.
Yeah.
Can this qualify for hours for any TMN chapter? So again, that is variable and that is based off of your chapter's approval of the final project with the information that has been provided by the project hosts, by Abigail and by Jamie Ray and her team. So as always with any of these virtual volunteer fair projects that are presented, we have that great VMS guide that walks you through the process of getting those projects approved with your local chapter. All right. So I think that answers all the questions that have come in for you, Jamie. And happy that you were able to step in today and appreciate your time.
We appreciate your time. And I'm going to put Abigail's email in the chat just in case. I think I did that correctly. Maybe not. Just in case anyone would like to email her directly for Thomas about the survey, and then anyone who might have additional questions. Thank you all for the time. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Jamie. We still have looks like we have 1 minute left. Mary Pearl, they did ask where they can find the VMS guide.
Yeah, we'll get that link chopped back in the chat.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, Erica, thank you again so much, Jamie, for stepping in for Abigail. Erica, I see that you are on. So we'll go ahead and get you loaded up with your PowerPoint, if you'll share your screen. And
yeah, switched over to her.
Our next speaker is going to be Erica Brooks. She's with Texas Parks and Wildlife Department, and she's going to be talking about Adopt a Ramp for boater education. And it looks like you are ready to roll.
I am ready. I had a minor emergency where the battery in my mouse died like 10 minutes ago, so I'm scrambling around the house, but we got that fixed. So, all right.
We can
Thank
hear you.
you. My name is Erica Brooks. I am the boater education training specialist for Texas Parks and Wildlife in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We have a brand new initiative this year called Adopt a Ramp. Something that we decided that would be a good idea to invite some of our partner organizations and volunteers to help raise awareness at high-risk lakes. What we're needing are volunteers who are willing to set up educational booths or tables to engage with boaters with safety and aquatic invasive species information, and then while collecting survey data to improve our education efforts. It's a very simple survey. There's not much to it. It'll be done through Microsoft Forms, so pretty easy to work with. All our volunteers will be doing is providing information to the boaters about the invasive species, boater education, water safety information. The outcomes and expectations for this project: you get to choose your own date, time, and boat ramp for your outreach event. If you live close to a specific lake, you can choose that one. You can partner together with somebody else and go in pairs or more than pairs if you want to do that. After we get the SurveyMonkey list of people who are interested, I will send out the link to the registration. And this is just the application form that you'll have to fill out. Let us know what date you're going to do, where you're going to be, and then we'll get you in the system to get information and training out to you. We will provide you with the information. We'll have boater education, little rat card postcards that you can hand out. We will have aquatic nuisance species information you can hand out as you're talking to the public. And then we will have a survey that's also Microsoft Forms that you can either print if you don't have internet access at the lake, and you can just fill out and enter later. We'll have a couple of different versions. Some people aren't super chatty at the lake and they want to get on the water. So we do have a version that is observation. Like, I observed 4 adults and 2 children, and they were in a fish and ski boat or a pontoon boat. You don't have to actually get a lot of information from them. If you get somebody that's willing to talk, we have a little bit more detailed information that you can get from them, but that's just going to be a judgment call on you on how they interact with you. The outcomes we're hoping to get is, obviously, we want safer boaters and we want lives saved, and then we want less of an environmental impact to our waterways. The logistics for this: we will take as many volunteers as we can get. We have roughly 196 major lakes in the state of Texas, and you are looking at the sole member of the boating education team at the moment. I can't be everywhere at once, so the more help we can get, the better off we are. We do have multiple date options, and they are listed on the right-hand side. We have the start of National Safe Boating Week. We will work around Memorial Day weekend. Operation Dry Water is also 4th of July weekend, and Operation Dry Water is enhanced BUI, or boating under the influence, saturation patrols and trying to encourage people not to drink while they're boating. And then the last one will be Labor Day weekend. There's no set time. You can pick a 4-hour chunk in the morning, midday, afternoon, whatever works for you, and just set up on any one of those days. The location is going to be any boat ramp across the state. It doesn't necessarily have to be inside a state park. It can be any ramp that you have access to where there's a lot of traffic coming in. Our time commitment is going to be about 4 hours each time you volunteer, and then we'll do a virtual training that'll take about an hour. Prior to each of these weekends, I will set up several different opportunities to jump online and train. And if it's something that you can't make the online training, we can do a one-on-one, or we can work through it via email and make sure that you have all the information. I'm going to put together packets to send out to everybody who registers, so you will have the paperwork in the handouts to give, so you don't have to worry about that. Just a basic boating safety and equipment knowledge. If you aren't, 100% on that, that's going to be part of the training. We'll give you a checklist of safety equipment. We'll give you some aquatic invasive species information and talk about the environmental impact of boaters. The equipment that you would need is a table and a chair if you want to sit, a canopy if you have one. Otherwise, you can set up under a tree in the shade, and a smartphone or access to a computer after the event so you can enter the survey information. Again, the training is just going to be held prior to each event weekend. It takes about an hour, and we'll just go over safety and education, required equipment, aquatic invasive information, and then we'll go through the Microsoft Forms survey real quick to show you what's going to be asked and entered. Just kind of some pictures of why what we do matters. We've got the zebra mussels, clogging up the water intake. We've got some cuts through the salt grass flats. The bottom picture on the left is going to show what happens, the erosion at the shoreline when people are throwing a wake and going too fast in a no wake zone and too close to shore. These are all things that we discuss in the boater education class. So it's very important to get everybody out there in these classes to learn these things. And then the safety aspect of it, just a little bit of knowledge that out of every fatality that happens in a boating accident, 75% of them are drowning. And of those 75%, 84% aren't wearing a life jacket. So we want to encourage life jacket use. It's on the bottom, 74% occurred where there's no boater safety instruction. So the benefits for you guys is you get to help save lives and protect our great Texas natural resources at the same time. We are a very small division. We do need help. The highlight is you get to spend a beautiful morning at the lake meeting many of our amazing boaters and helping them have a safer, more enjoyable day. Something so simple as just letting them know that, there's insufficient in a piece of equipment, or that they forgot to get their voter ed card out of the car. So if they do meet a game warden out on the water, they are not going to have a negative reaction to the day. They're going to have everything they need and know that it's just going to be a simple check and they're not going to get a ticket. Their day's not going to be ruined. It's amazing what giving somebody a whistle, and I'll make sure everybody gets a few of those too, just because they forgot their sound producing device. Give them a whistle so they don't get a ticket out on the water. Makes their day. I know it doesn't seem like much, but if you take the effect that every single vessel on the rivers, lakes, and coastal waters, it may seem insignificant, but if you multiply that times the thousands of vessels that we have on our waterways each summer, there is a huge impact that they make. So the more people that we can reach and get information to, the better off we're going to be. My contact information, email me, you can give me, call me on my cell. Like I said, I'll be reaching out to everybody who signs up with more details. But I just wanted to make it quick because I know I was the last one. And if you have questions from other people or things to go over, I gave you back some time.
Erica, actually, there's a few questions for you.
Okay.
I think this is really exciting for our volunteers to hear about this project. There's the two questions that we have in chat so far. Beverly's asking if there are already state parks that have lakes that are already participating in this project that they would maybe not participate at with this survey.
As of right now, there are no state parks signed up. We do have a few organizations signed up, like drowning prevention organizations. What I know, there's going to be at least 4 different groups of us at Lake Louisville, because we've had so many drownings over the past year that is a high target lake. So it's okay if there's more than one person at a state park, as long as we can set up at different boat ramps and hit more people.
Excellent. And then Jen asks a really interesting question. She says, are these materials available in Spanish?
Not at the moment. And I have brought up that we do need to have some of the education information available in Spanish because there's
So
a few lakes in this area. Yeah.
that might be another volunteer opportunity for some of our bilingual master naturalists to be
Yeah,
able to help translate some of these educational programs.
that is a very good idea.
Yeah, that and along with the natural resource information that you're asking our volunteers to present during these events too.
Wonderful. If there's any other questions, we've got a few more minutes to ask questions of Erica. Otherwise, we'll move into wrap up for today. Thank you so much, Erica, for joining us. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. So let's wrap this up. What do y'all say about wrapping it up just a little early?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you so much, Judith, for your MC work for today, keeping us on time throughout the whole event. We always appreciate you doing that for us. It just helps to keep the whole flow of the event going.
It works. Thank you guys.
Absolutely. So just a few final reminders if you've joined late or if you've kind of popped in and out for our virtual volunteer fair. I'm going to run through some of these introductory slides one more time for folks. If you've sat through this and you want to say, I want more information, I need to see more about that project, or I want to follow up on some of these things. The kitchen sink of all the resources for our virtual volunteer fair is going to be on our website. Hannah has dropped that link in the chat. It's also easily accessible by going to the Naturalist News section of our website and searching for Virtual Volunteer Fair. So that is where you'll find that full catalog for each of the projects, contact information. The recording from today's event will also be posted there by sometime tomorrow. And then Michelle, if you'll wrap up or if you'll cover the how to volunteer and how to log in VMS slides just one more time for us.
So as we described at the beginning of the presentation, but for those of you who may have been popping in and out, to include or to add your name to the list of any of the projects that were presented today, you would add your name to the SurveyMonkey. That's been shared on the chat. It's available in the Virtual Volunteer Fair page on our website, and also the TMN Tuesday. You can get to it to links through links on our TMN Tuesday event as well. You'll add your name to the potential as a potential volunteer for any of the projects that you're interested in. You have until the end of the month to do that. So Wednesday, April 30th is our cutoff date. After that time, we will be taking the survey down and then submitting the list, providing the list of people that have signed up to each of the presenters that presented on the projects today. And then they will be the ones to follow up with you on the next steps, how to get started, and any other training that may be needed for your project that you're interested in. Remember that there are always typically more volunteers that sign up for any of the projects than there are available spaces. Another note, reminders regarding the projects, not all projects are for all chapters or all ecoregions. So all of that information has been denoted throughout the presentation today, and then in the guidebook for the Virtual Volunteer Fair. And then all projects still need to be reviewed and approved at your local chapter level too before actually volunteering on them, and so that it can be set up in your local chapter's VMS for reporting to later. And then our next question is, how do you log hours for today? So today is a TMN Tuesday event. It is our April TMN Tuesday event. It's our Texas Master Naturalist Virtual Volunteer Fair. If you attended the entire event today, you could log up to 2.25 hours. And if you popped in and out, you would just put the time that you actually spent in actual presentations for today. If you have any other questions, there's more information regarding logging hours for today in a quick guide that we've set up, and we've been dropping the links to those. The links are available on our website. They're in the chat here. And then the next slide talks about how to log hours for projects. So we've talked about how to log hours for projects. The projects do need to be reviewed and approved at your local chapter level. And there is a quick guide for logging volunteer service hours on virtual volunteer projects as well. And then with any of your projects, please keep in mind that some of the projects presented today do have an element of citizen science in some of them. So keep in mind the citizen science guidelines as well.
All right, and I think that wraps up everything. We had 6 wonderful presentations today, and we'll have this recording on our website for those that want to go back and peruse. All of those links are easily accessible on our website, as mentioned. That is the kitchen sink to find everything. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you logging in and helping us with our 7th virtual volunteer fair. I didn't see any other questions that came in after this.